Question number 26. This is another classic percent increase, decrease type of question. So what we have here is type A trees. That's 20% more than the type B trees. And the question is, how many pairs did the type B trees produce? So people look at this, and I'm going to tell you the mistake that everyone makes. People go, well, type A is 144, and they say, well, that's 20% more than type B. So they go 144, they subtract 20%, which is going to get them, well, the right way to do this, by the way, is going to be times 0.8. It gets them 115, and they go, oh, okay, it's A, 115. No, guys, that is the wrong answer. The problem here is that there's a big difference between taking a number and increasing it by 20% to get to a second number, and taking that second number and decreasing it by 20% to try to get back to the first number. It doesn't work that way. So let me show you an example here. Let's say you have the number 100. If you increase it by 10%, it actually becomes 110. But if you take 110 and you subtract 10% off of it, it's actually going to go down to 99. So as you can see, it does not go back to the original number. So let's talk about what's going on here. So type A trees, the 144, that is 20% more than the type B. So we're going to take type B, multiply by 1.2 because it's 20% more than that. And to solve this, we're going to divide both sides by 1.2, 1.2. And basically, you're going to get B is equal to 120. And that's how you get answer B. Question 27. So many people get this question wrong. So you've got a square field that measures 10 by 10. And they mark off a randomly selected region of the field. Each side is length of 1 meter, whatever. Okay. So basically the question is asking you, what is a reasonable approximation of the number of earthworms beneath the ground surface in the entire field? So a lot of people look at this thing and they count actually these regions here. They look at A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. They look at this, they look at these numbers here, and they go, okay, well, each one is approximately 150. And yeah, it looks like you got 10 regions here. So they go 10 times 150. And they choose B. No, that is the wrong answer. Why is that? Because you're taking a field 10 by 10. That's going to get you 100 of these little areas. So basically, you're looking at 100 of these areas times about 150. That's going to get you 15,000. Question 28. You have a system of inequalities. You got y is greater than 2x plus 1 and y is greater than 1/2 x minus 1 graphed. Which quadrant has no solutions? So again, what does it mean to graph this out in inequality? When you graph it out, it becomes a shaded area, not just a line, but it's going to be a shaded area that's either above or below that line. And when it says no solutions, we're talking about no shaded areas overlapping. So when you're talking about the solution of two shaded areas, the solution is where they overlap. So if it's no solutions, it's where they don't overlap. So we're going to start with this first one here. Y is greater than or equal to 2x plus 1. So we know it's going to have a 1 right there, and a slope is 2. All right, so this is y equals 2x plus 1, and greater than means it's above it. So it's above that area. And the second one we're going to look at is the y is greater than 1/2 x minus 1. So we got a negative 1 here. It's going to have a slope of 1/2. So it's going to be like this. And again, it's greater than. So I'm going to do some lines here like this. All right, so where are the solutions? The solutions are obviously, it's in this area here, quadrant 1. Quadrant 2's got solutions. Quadrant 3's got solutions. Quadrant 4, no solutions there. Answer is C. Question number 29. So this is actually a very strange question. You've got a polynomial and they tell you P of 3 is -2. Which of the following must be true about this polynomial? So the only thing we know is that the P of 3 is -2. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. That means at an x value of 3, you have a y value of -2. That's the only thing we know about it. So which of the following must be true? Let's look at the choices. X minus 5 is a factor of P of x. In order for x minus 5 to be a factor of P of x, that means that there is a 0 or root at 5, 0. So the question is there a point at 5, 0? We don't know. Okay. Same for x minus 2. That means there's a root at 2. Is there a root there? We don't know. And x plus 2 tells you that there's a root at -2, 0. Is there a root there? We don't know. All right. So basically, based on elimination, we know the answer has to be D, but let me show you how you get to choice D. So they're saying p of x divided by x minus 3 is going to get you a remainder of -2. So that's going to give you some sort of thing. We'll call it the q of x, which is the quotient polynomial, and a remainder of -2. So is this true? Well, let's take a look. We're going to multiply both sides by the x minus 3. And so you have p of x is equal to q of x times x minus 3 minus 2. And we're going to go ahead and substitute the only value we have, which is p of 3. So p of 3, as we know, is equal to -2. And we're putting in the 3 in for q of x and for that. So this here, the x minus 3, turns into 0. So you got q of 3 times 0 minus 2, which just leaves you with -2. So in fact, the remainder is -2 when you divide the whole polynomial p of x by. So the answer is D. Very strange question. I have not seen another one like that. Question 30. So which of the following is an equivalent form of the graph? And make sure you realize they're talking about where the vertex can be identified. So in order for the vertex to be identified, you have to be using the vertex form. Okay, the vertex form is we got y equals a times x minus h quantity squared plus k, and the hk is going to be the vertex of the parabola. All right, so we're not just looking at any equivalent form. If you look at this up here, the x squared minus 2x minus 15, that is just called the standard form there. And people look at this and they go, okay, well, let's look at choice A. That's x squared plus 3x minus 5x minus 15. And they choose A. No, that is wrong. Okay, this is what we call the root or the factored form. And even though you FOIL this out and it becomes the same as x squared minus 2x minus 15, that is not what we're interested in. All right, so we have to focus on the vertex here. That vertex is 1, negative, I don't know, 15, negative 16-ish or something like that. And we look at the choices, and it's going to be D. Be careful. They really like testing us on the SAT. Question 31. So he can do 12 dozen ears of corn per hour, and at most he can do 18 dozen. So it's between 18 and 12. And what is a possible amount? He can do 72 dozen ears of corn. 72 divided by 12 and 72 divided by 18. So x is in between there. So 72 divided by 12, that's going to get you 6. And 72 divided by 18, that's going to get you 4. And I know I've got these little signs flipped around, but basically we're looking at between 6 and 4. So it could be 4, 5, or 6. You can fill in any of these answers and you'll get that right. Question number 32. So you've got a maximum limit of 6,000 pounds. What is the maximum value for x that'll keep the weight below? So we got 6,000 here. Okay, and we want to keep it at or below, actually below, so it should be less than, but we got 4,500 plus 14x, so that's going to turn this into 1,500, 14x, divide both sides by 14, So that's going to get you 107.14 is greater than x. Now remember, we have to deal with integer numbers here, so we can't have a value like 107.14 boxes. There's no such thing. So basically, the maximum number is going to be 107, and that is going to be your answer. Question 33. 2008 is what fraction of 2011? All right, so 2008 is about 100, and 2011, we're looking at 160. So it's 100 over 160. That's just 10 over 16, 5 over 8. Now you can fill in 5 over 8. The other option is to turn this into a decimal, which would get you 0.625. So you can fill in either answer, 5/8 or 0.625. You do not need to have a leading zero. Both those answers would be considered correct. 34. This is not a particularly hard question, but a lot of people miss this. So we've got programs in 30-minute intervals. It operates 24 hours a day. How many time slots can they sell for Tuesday and Wednesday? So we're looking at 24 hours times 2. So we're looking at 48 hours total. And you're going to have 30-minute intervals. So every hour is going to have 2. So 48 times 2, that's going to get you 96 slots. That's the answer. Number 35. This is a rare question involving a cylinder. You really don't see cylinders too much on the SAT. So you got a dairy farmer, and he's got a right circular cylinder. The volume is going to be 72 pi cubic yards. What is the diameter of the base? So we're looking at the diameter of the base right there. That's what we want. And if you look up above, volume equals pi r squared h for a right cylinder. And we know that this thing is 72 pi cubic yards, pi r squared h. And we know that height is 8. These cancel out. And I'm going to divide both sides by 8. 9 equals r squared. So r is equal to 3. Don't stop here, guys. I know a lot of people choose 3. That's not the answer. We want the diameter. So diameter equals 6. And there you go. Question 36. When is the function undefined? What does it mean by undefined? It means division by 0. So if you got 1 divided by 0, if this whole thing is 0, that's when you have a problem. All we're trying to do is find when that equals 0. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to FOIL this out first. So you got x squared minus 10x plus 25. That's this part here, and we're going to do this part plus 4x minus 20 plus 4. And then we're going to go ahead and combine this all together. So these two go together. That goes together with that. X squared minus 6x plus 9. And we're going to go ahead and factor that out. A few ways to do this. No fail is always quadratic, but I think we can figure this one out. This one's not too bad. We can look at this and figure out that's x minus 3, x minus 3, and we're going to set that equals 0. So that's going to be x equals 3. Now again, if you got a negative answer for this and you got x equals negative 3, you know something went wrong. If you got negative 3, you know it's wrong because there's no such thing as getting a negative on the fill in the blank grid-in questions. Okay, 37 and 38 refer to the following information. Jessica opened a bank account, 2% interest compounded annually. That just means that every year she gets a total of 2% back. Okay, her initial deposit was 100. She uses the expression blah, 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 blah. Maybe you guys have seen this expression. This is the compound interest expression. Compound just means that you will earn interest on the interest that you've already gotten. So for example, if you start off with $100 in this case, and after 1 year you have $102, the next year you're getting interest on the $102, not on the 100. So that's the difference between simple interest and compound interest. The simple interest would just mean that you're getting 2% on the initial 100 all the way through. Okay, so this is the proper expression for this. Even if you didn't know that, it is something good to know. But we'll go on to question number 37. 37, what is the value of x in the expression? Again, this is classic percent increase. It is not 2% or 0.02. No. A lot of people think it's 0.02. What happens if you multiply that by 0.02? It actually goes lower. This is a percent increase. So the proper amount is going to be 1.02. That's 102% because it increases by 2%. Question 38. So we've got Tishan depositing $100 and she's getting 2.5%. And Jessica is also depositing $100, but remember, she's only getting 2%. So we want to know after 10 years, how much more money is Tishan going to have? And I know that 0.5% doesn't seem like very much, but yeah, it's going to compound and she's going to get more and more money. So let's take a look. So Jessica is going to be basically the 100 times 1.02 to the 10th power. And the reason why it's to the 10th power is that's going to happen 10 times. Tishan is going to be 100 times 1.025 to the 10th power. And the 10th power again means 10 years. So Jessica is going to get 121.899 after all this time. And Tishan is going to get 128.00 after all this time. And let's take the difference. Now, notice I'm not going to round this before we get the answer, okay? You want to round it after you get the answer. So I'm going to take that and subtract. So the difference is 6.109, and you look at this, we want to round your answer to the nearest cent. Okay, so we're going to ignore dollar sign. So 6.109, it is 6.11, and you actually have to have 6.11. If you got 6.10 or 6.12, those would be considered wrong. It actually has to be 6.11. So again, watch out the rounding on the fill in the blank grid in sections. They're really picky about the rounding and doing it correctly. Okay guys, so that wraps it up for test number 1, and that is section 4. We've gone through the entire test. So if you felt this is helpful to you, go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'm going to continue to make more videos. Thanks for watching guys, and as always, if you feel that this video was useful, please like and subscribe, and also share this video with your friends who are studying so hard for the SAT.